So now let's talk about the details of the SonarQube dashboard. What I've started out by doing here is putting all of our ugly, bad code back. And then I reran my analysis through SonarCloud. Because if your code is really clean, the dashboard is not very interesting at all. So I want to make the dashboard interesting to walk you through this. So I'm coming over here to my dashboard, and what you can see immediately, we've taken a look at this before. We've talked about the quality gate. You can see I've failed. I'm failing on my reliability rating. I'm failing on my security rating. You can see how many lines of code I have and what type of code that is. Really good at-a-glance view of what's going on in my project here. And you can even see sort of a timeline. Here I had 2 bugs and 1 vulnerability, 16 code smells. And then here you can see 2 bugs, 1 vulnerability, 15. So I cleaned something up at some point in there. As we walk through this, you can see bugs, you can see vulnerabilities, and your letter grades on each. You can take a look at what's been introduced over the last 30 days. Code smells, you can see what's come in. So I had one, I've introduced 14 new ones in the last 30 days, and you can see the change in my tech debt. If I had coverage for my code with unit tests, then I would be able to see that here, as well as coverage on new code. And then if I had any duplications, duplications in code, generally speaking, are a bad thing. You want to consolidate, you want to pull things into common blocks of code that you can reuse. And so this would show me where I have duplicated blocks, and I can start to clean that up. So this is your very basic dashboard for looking at your project overall. From here, you can start to drill down. So let's talk about the first level of drill down. Let's say that we want to see what's causing us to get a failed quality gate for reliability. We can click there, and it's going to filter it down. So these are our bugs. It's going to show us these things are unresolved. It's going to allow us to take a look. We can drill down by severity. Right now, you can see that we have 2 major severity items. We would be able to take a look at creation date. You can see that today is when I would have those issues identified. So you can then start to drill down. We'll talk about statuses, and we'll talk about assignees in another lesson. So we'll talk about how you can assign things out and how you can set different statuses. These are things that allow you to figure out what you're breaking. So if I were to go up here, and let's say I wanted to go into my tech debt, and it's going to show me my code smells. Here's a list of everything that it wants me to clean up. I've got majors, I've got minors, I've got a critical one up here. And I would be able to filter these down, and notice that the filters are going to tell you what you've got in there. So it's going to show you how much technical debt you have. You can use the rules so you can see where the problems are. So it gives you a really good at-a-glance view of where the issues are. If I had multiple files in here, I would be able to see maybe this one has 2 hours, maybe something else has 4 hours, maybe something else has 1 hour. So I can sort of see where my hotspots are just by drilling down with the filters, and that gives me a good place to start cleaning up. This also will allow you, if you're going to work on a project and you want to start cleaning things up while you're working through the project, you can come in here and you can say, okay, I'm going to go touch my code quality.java. I'm going to be working on that. Let me see all the issues that are in there, and then I can start to clean those up. From here, I can also start to drill down into each one of these items and see where it is in the code. So let's say that I want to come in and look at this particular item. It'll take me straight to the code. It puts the error message or the issue directly under the line of code that's violating that rule. It's telling me it's a code smell. It's showing me the tags, right? So these are categories of issues that I want to clean up. Over here, I have a list of everything. So I have a good at-a-glance look at what's going on in this file. So if I had 15 different methods in this file and I was really just going to be working on one of them, I might decide that I'm just going to clean that one up for now. So I would actually be able to see in line, I would be able to see all these things, and then I would be able to see it over here as well. You'll notice that it's also showing here's code that's not covered by tests. So for each one of these statements, it's saying you don't have anything to test this code. So this is a really great way to drill down in the code, to understand what's going on, to start to work on cleaning things up, especially if you're not starting from a new project and you have an application that's been around for a long time and you're really trying to improve the quality, you're trying to clean it up at the same time as you're building new features. This is the way to go, because you can start to do that in the process of your daily work. And over time, you will see that your numbers are going to improve. You're actually going to see a reduction in technical debt. You'll see a reduction in bugs and vulnerabilities. So you'll see these numbers start to get better. One final thing in terms of the dashboard before we move on to talk about how to assign things out. The next final thing that we talk about is some of the charts and graphs that you can get. And I don't have a lot of code in here, so there's not a lot of data to take a look at. But I can drill down into this little, you've got that little arrow icon that's going there. This is going to show me over time what's going on here. So it's going to show what happened on October 14th. Red, green, things are happening here. Then it's going to show me today what's going on. I can filter events by what's going on here, and I can filter by dates. I can add metrics, so I can do issues. And I can see bugs, code smells, vulnerabilities. So this gives me a bit of a history in terms of, in terms of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And, over time, how is my code changing? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? And so, in this case, you can see the changes over time there. And it'll really help you to get a sense, more of, say, an executive level view of what's going on with your code. You can also drill down to see some bubble charts here, where you can see, the differences, the different areas where things are happening. So there's some very cool reports and tools that you can use to evaluate your code, to know if you're improving or if you're getting worse. If you're getting worse, maybe you have to take some action in terms of talking to your team about how we're doing things, making sure people are putting those plugins into their IDE, because if they're using the plugins, then your code in SonarQube is going to stay really clean over time. If they're not using those, then you're much more likely to see a high number of issues going on in here. So next, we're going to talk about, once we go into the dashboard and we start to drill down on the total number of issues, which we can also access from up here, we're going to talk about how we can assign these things out and a little bit of workflow that we can start to put in place.